recently, where you just sort of add in this game mode to what's otherwise a different game, or we just find that people are already enjoying that simple formula. But Mavericks is way more than about the formula. It's about really like doing a lot more with massively multiplayer, sort of competitive gaming.
And something else that sets this game apart from other Battle Royale games is the persistent elements that players leave behind when they're walking around or using items in the map. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so that sort of tracking, I mean, first of all, it's about optionality as well. Like when you're entering a building, you can siege the building, like certain experiences are made deeper by that kind of system, but tracking is also really important because, bending grass, leaving footprint trails, and then the dynamic weather playing into how that washes away, and all those kinds of strategies, they mean that, you are interacting with players not just through shooting them. There's that sort of impact on the world that all these players are making. And that means that by having more players, you are actually building a deeper experience. Whereas if you didn't really also have that kind of dynamic world, it would just be more people you come across. Whereas in Mavericks, it's not just about coming across people, it's about making a plan based on what's going on in the world.
Yeah, I love the idea that I can find a trail of blood on the ground and track it and find somebody.
It's great. We've been playing at our booth in the concourse hall, and we were playing a session, and I came in, and there was a room where all the walls had been destroyed. Oh, and even though there wasn't a body there, I was like, okay, something really bad just happened here, and I feel incredibly unsafe because I don't know where someone is. I think the other thing that's great is having this idea of this also a persistent ecology. Right, so as something happens, typically, maybe you'll see something, but commonly you might hear something. I think it's great to then be able to have things like flocking behavior, by having birds, by having wildlife. So if someone is in a combat, you might see like the birds take off and fly away, and now you can use that also as a way to read the environment. It's like, oh, something's happening over there, not just in a general space that maybe I'm trying to hone in on.
Right. Well, Bill, my question for you now as Chief Creative Officer, I mean, what is it like to work on a cloud-based dev program that's going to let you do kind of the maximum of everything that you want to do instead of being limited by the technology?
Yeah, I mean, that's the real reason I came to Improbable from all the stuff I'd done, whether it was at Blizzard or Disney or other MMORPG companies I've been at, is there's always a technical limitation you hit, right? You're making these trade-offs. As designers, we always think reductively, right? There's always some bad engineer.
I got 3 colors,
saying,
what do you want?
Yeah, what do you want? And the manager's like, no, you can't have that many people, or it can't be that big, or like, the servers have to shut off, and so everything's gonna reset. And being able to then now work with, with great partners and developers and saying like, let's remove those limitations. Like now, what do you do if we can think expansively from design? It's really amazing. And I think it's really leading us to look at game types, and it starts with like, how could you take this, but now augment it? And then leads us to ask questions that we would just never ask before. Like, what is a game that if you had 10,000 people playing at the same time, that's when it truly becomes interesting and great? Like, how do we build those social structures? How do we have that type of interaction? Looking at those questions and then applying that into game design is just a fantastic opportunity.
What's the most exciting thing that you've been